Adding and subtracting polynomials. So please copy this down. To add and subtract polynomials, remove parentheses. Remove the parentheses and then combine in like terms. Remove the parentheses and then you can combine the like terms. So example number 1. Remove the parentheses and then you can combine like terms. Example number 1. We have two polynomials. This polynomial in red and we have a polynomial in blue. If the operation, I hope you're all listening, if the operation between the two is addition, so we have this red polynomial plus this blue polynomial. If the operation in between is addition, the parentheses just fall away. You could just remove the parentheses. You don't have to do anything. Just remove the parentheses, and you could write all of these terms as one long expression with no parentheses. So we have 3x squared plus 5x minus 3 plus x squared minus 5x plus 1. Again, if the operation is addition, you could get rid of the parentheses and write everything in one long expression, no parentheses. So step number 1 is to remove the parentheses. If it's addition, the parentheses just fall away. Step number 2 is to combine like terms. Can I have a volunteer identify one pair of like terms and combine them? Can anyone identify, Rahima? All right, exactly. So we have 3x squared and positive x squared. Whenever you're combining like terms, you have to include the operation that's in front of the variable or the term. So the plus has to go with the x squared. The negative has to go with the 5x here. You have to include that operation with it. So Rahima said these two are like terms. So Rahima, can you combine those for me, please? 4x squared. Can I have another volunteer identify another? Camille. So positive 5x and negative 5x. And when you combine those, what do you get? Not x. Try again. 0x, which is just 0. I'm going to write it there for now. I'm going to get rid of it later. Alexia. So negative 3 and positive 1. And when you combine those, what do you get? Negative 2. So 4x squared plus 0x minus 2. You could get rid of the 0x and you would have 4x squared minus 2. 4x squared is the sum. 4x squared is the sum when you add these two polynomials. Does anyone have any questions about this first example? All right. What I want to point out here, you have two methods. What I did here was the horizontal method. This was the horizontal method. I took my terms and wrote them out horizontally. I'm going to show you another method called the vertical method. You don't have to know both. I'm going to show you both one time, and you could choose whichever method you want from then. You don't need to know both. Just pick whichever one you like best. This is the horizontal method. I'm going to do the same exact example using the vertical method this time. Vertical method. When you do the vertical method, again, you have two polynomials. We have 3x squared plus 5x minus 3. And we have this polynomial over here in blue. This is plus x squared minus 5x plus 1. The difference here, this is the horizontal method. Horizontally, the vertical method just lines them up vertically with like terms on top of each other. So the vertical method takes them and just lines them up vertically, like terms, one on top of each other, and we'll combine the terms from there. So with the vertical method, we have 3x squared plus x squared, which is 4x squared. 5x minus 5x is 0x. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. And as you can see, we get the same answer. Doesn't matter which method we use. Horizontal and vertical. Take 1 minute, see if you can get an answer for this one here. Use any method you want. I need someone to walk me through this. Who's got it? We've got this red one here, and we've got this blue one there. Joe, which method did you use? All right.
3x plus 4x squared minus 9 minus 2x squared plus 10.
All right. So if you did the horizontal method, if the operation is addition, you could just take all of these terms, and you could take these two terms and just write them here. You don't have to put the plus when it's just addition in between the two. Is that clear? All right, now Joe, combine them for me, please.
4x squared and negative 2x squared becomes 2x squared plus 3x.
All right, plus 3x. There's no like term for this one.
And then negative 9 and positive 10, so it's plus 1.
Plus 1. Any questions on adding polynomials? All right, I'll take that as a no. Now we'll subtract. We're going to subtract now. There's a difference here. It's not a big difference, but you have to pay attention to what you do whenever you subtract. So again, we still have two polynomials. We have one in red, one in blue. The difference in this case is that this operation, the operation in between the two polynomials is negative. So please pay close attention to what you need to do here. This negative is essentially a negative 1. You follow? So when you have a negative, in order to get rid of these parentheses, you have to distribute the negative 1 to every single term. Please make a mental note, write that down, because this is something you will see on the test, and I don't want you to make an error here. Sure. When there's a negative in between the two polynomials, distribute the negative 1 to every single term that's being subtracted. So instead of minus, you have positive 4r to the fourth, positive 8r to the third, negative 8. The negative is going to change the sign of all of these terms here. So it becomes minus 4r to the fourth, minus 8r to the third, plus 8. So the negative in front changes the sign of every single term of the polynomial that's being subtracted. The first polynomial, you can write it just the way it is. The first one doesn't need to be changed. 3r to the fourth minus 9r to the third minus 8. Does everyone understand what happens when you subtract the polynomials and how that's different from when you add the two polynomials? Once you have it written out, you could go ahead and combine like terms. Also, once you have it like this, I would just stick with the horizontal method, but you could do it that way if you want. It's up to you. You don't have to. I would just stick to the horizontal. But some of you might find the vertical easier to understand. Casper?
You don't have to do anything to poly on the left.
No,
You know, you just leave it.
exactly. Unless you may see something like this. Say there's a negative in front of there.
So only in that case
Yeah.
you do it negative 1.
Yeah. Say, for example, there was a negative there, then you'd have to distribute the negative and change all those signs. And it doesn't have to just be negative. It could be negative any number. Say it was negative 2. Then you distribute negative 2 to all of those terms to get rid of the parentheses. All right, now we combine like terms. Does anyone have an answer? Daria. Negative r to the fourth power. Minus 17r to the third. Plus 0, or you could just leave the 0 out, right? Exactly. So this is cool. If you put the 0, that's fine too. Does anyone have any questions on this example here? Read this in your head. Think about it for 5 seconds, 10 seconds. What's being subtracted from what? How would you write this out horizontally? Just think about it. Think about it. Subtract this from that. How would you write that horizontally without the words? Alan.
It would be x squared minus 4 in parentheses, subtracted from 2x squared plus 4x minus 6.
Thank you. So if we're subtracting this polynomial from that one, you have to reverse the order. Does everyone see how if we write it out linguistically that it means this algebraically? All right, I'm not going to solve this. I just wanted to show you when you see things written like this, you have to think about it for a second and figure out what that means mathematically. If you don't have any questions, you can get started on your classwork. 4-1A, 1 to 14, everything is on Edmodo, worksheets and answer key.